I wish the world were truly happy, living as one. Wish the world they call freedom someday could come, someday would come. Whoa, so I when my mind is shaking, and I put my on the sea, and my feet but I like to find ways, but I like to find a way to so baby, so but I like to find a way to,
What's going on, family? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You
Can
hear
you
me?
hear me?
Yeah. What's up? Well, how you doing? How you doing, AT, Miss Beverly Biggs? What's going on, Brother Jaleel? How you doing over there, Miss Galloway?
I'm good. How are you?
All is well.
Very good.
What's up, Aaron? What's up, Mike? What's up, Marky D? Good, good. I'm about to.
We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce.
My city experiencing a transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars, multiply triple digits. I came a long way from baby jars in a project kitchen.
All right, peace and blessings, family. How you doing out there? Let's give a quick roll call to everybody that's tuning in, man. Big shout out. How you doing, Miss Biggs? How you doing there, brother Jaleel? What's going on, brother Aaron? What's going on, brother Mike? What's going on, brother Marcus? So we in here for another session of Fli-City Blackout, and we have a phenomenal guest today. We have the former 7th Ward Councilwoman, Miss Monica Galloway, in the house, and she'll be talking about city business. She'll be talking about some of the things that she has experienced as a councilwoman here in the city of Flint. But then also just talking about a vision moving forward, right? You know, and next steps and what we got coming up. You know, we always start one place, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where we'll stay. So, why don't you introduce yourself, Mrs. Galloway?
Well, I am Monica Galloway, and as you shared, I am the former 7th Ward City Council person. I served the residents of the 7th Ward for 8 years, which was an extreme privilege. And I am excited about just being involved in this conversation today to talk about legislation, which is what the Flint City Council is.
That's right. That is right. So when we talking legislation, right? You know, because I think this is a time, and I want to make sure my audio is sounding good. So today we're talking legislation, we're talking city business, we're talking co-equal branches of government, you know, and then also how those things intertwine with each other, and then roles and responsibilities. A lot of times folks don't necessarily know the roles of a council person, the roles of their local commissioner or mayor sometimes, right? But it's very important for us to really kind of have those discussions and dialogue, so then that way, you know, when you have a question going on in the neighborhood, you ask the right question and you deliver it to the right source. So, with that being said, why don't you give us a background of your experience in local government, and then also as your time, you know, in 7th Ward, and then just kind of give them some type of, you know, sentimental value, right, that folks can hang their hat on and kind of gain some experience or expertise.
So I served on the Flint City Council. I was elected in 2013. That was a time when the city was under emergency manager. So that seat was a seat that was open. There was very little participation, I believe, in government. It was a very difficult time. You know, we had an emergency manager that was appointed by the governor that was literally making all of the decisions. So although you had a legislative body and you had a mayor, the decisions were really being made by the emergency manager. And so upon being elected, because of the financial state that the city of Flint was in at that time, I think we were like in a negative $12 million deficit. The emergency manager required all new city council members to attend the Michigan Municipal League. They help educate elected officials, help you understand. They take different classes. Really, really great organization. And you had to complete the first level of that before you could get what was considered pay increases. And I think at the time when I started with City Council, they maybe made $3,500 a month, or was it a year? I don't know. It was so long ago. But I realized that being a part of the Michigan Municipal League was a very safe space. It was like going to college, if you will, for elected officials. And so I found myself really, really engaged in that environment, learning everything that I could. And I had the opportunity to serve, like I said, the residents of the city of Flint for 8 years. And then I didn't win my reelection. And so that was about just over 2 years ago. And so I just have a love for this community. I have a love for legislation. I have a love for seeing the advancement of our community. And so just really involved and want people to understand your elected officials, understand how you can help them and how they can help you as well.
Okay. I was looking at the audio. I think it's maybe something going on with the audio. Is that I'm not sure when I'm hearing a little feedback in the audio, in your audio, Mrs.
On my
Galloway.
audio,
Yeah,
mm, I have my I have my beats on. Is
that
that
what
not
it
giving
is.
you a good? You want me to take it off?
Yeah, see if we can take it off and see if that makes a difference.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. How does that sound, everybody? Does that sound clear? I know Brother Jalil was in the chat said it, the sound, distorted.
You
How
said
did?
that sounds better.
Yeah, that sound better. That sound better, everybody.
Sorry about
Okay.
that, guys.
No, no problem. Not you would expect those beats to be like studio sound, all right? Okay,
It
I
ain't
think
the
I'm gonna.
beats. You know it ain't the beats. It clearly ain't the beats because they got a reputation. It's got to be my equipment.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. They saying you sound real good now. You sound real
Better,
clear.
better.
So
I'm sorry. Good.
now, is it still hooked up to you? Is the beats hooked up?
No,
It's not. Okay. So
but
what
they're still saying they can't hear.
I can hear a little like a little
Now I heard that, but I don't know what it could be.
right. Um it may be is anything plugged into your are you on your
No,
laptop?
no, I'm on my iPad.
Oh your iPad, okay.
I can get on my phone if that works for you.
Okay. How about we keep talking, but how about you if you want to upload it on your phone, then that way we can if it is if we need to switch, then we had opportunity. So, just to let out what's going on, Becky B, we see you out there. So just let everybody know. So Miss Galloway has been engaged into politics here in the city, and she did her due diligence in going through learning the city charter. See, a lot of times people don't understand the essence of the city charter. They don't understand what government bodies really facilitate and abide by. So if we can kind of really kind of have maybe like a just like a dwell conversation into that, so then that way folks kind of understand what is the charter about, how does the city charter, and what does that have to do with local government? Okay, we just switching it up right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Oh yeah,
Is
that's
that better?
perfect. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. What's up,
So,
Tia?
so you said, repeat your question for me.
So a lot of folks may not necessarily know the city charter. So we got some young brothers here online. A lot of these young folks who are engaged into the city, right? You know, they are part of the community, right? They have families. They're getting engaged into how city business work, how local government and municipalities operate. So we can kind of just educate real quick as far as the role of the Flint City Charter.
Okay. So, we have a constitution, right? So our
Hmm.
constitution dictates what our government responsibility is to us and what our
Hmm.
responsibility is to the society that we live in. You have the federal constitution, you have the Michigan state of constitution, and then you have the city charter. The city
Hmm.
charter is our constitution, if you will. So
Yep.
we are a home rule community. That means we have the mayor, a strong form of government mayor. That means our mayor legitimately has authority. The legislation have authority. So the charter is the constitution. It is the rules that govern your community. It outlines what the municipality should be doing for the community. It outlines what everyone's role and responsibility is. And so it is the daily thing that we should be looking for to help us live the best life that we can in the community.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that was well said. And so when people are, you know, in these city, capacities, when they're in these roles, and everybody has a responsibility, um, it's bylaws and ways that anybody, whether you're in government, that you operate right, and those things is vital for a city charter. And so I know we had revised our city charter, or we adopted a city charter. What year did we just recently adopt that city charter?
2017.
2017.
Mhm.
And so, and you were part of that development.
Well, I was a part of when the The revision of the charter was in effect and yes, being adopted.
Okay. And so
And
now
our
as
charter
the
is adopted by the residents. So that was on the ballot to vote as to whether or not they wanted to accept the new revised charter or if they wanted to maintain the charter in its former writings.
okay. So I'm hoping that everybody that's on the chat, right? First and foremost, I know everybody is registered to vote. Let's make sure that we clear on that. Everybody on here, everybody in the chat, everybody on the broadcast, make sure that you are registered to vote. I think that is the basic level of when we're talking about our role in this community as constituents, and us as voters, right? We want to make sure that we are voting on the right representatives to represent our ward. The city has 9 wards, right? Miss Galloway was the councilwoman in the 7th ward. And so each ward has a representative. So before we even get to the point of representation, like we have to make sure that we do our part in democracy in voting for people to represent us, right?
And DeWaun,
And
that's
so,
so important because when you look at our elections, you're talking about 6 to 15% of the population vote. 6 to 15% of the registered population in our community are making all of the decisions for our entire communities.
I think,
That's
we,
low. That's
and
very
so,
low. And we have got to do a better job at one, being engaged, but two, we should be talking to our family members. It is important. Our ancestors died to make
mhm,
sure that we were a people that had a right to vote. And so for us to not even exercise the right to vote, and don't get me wrong, there is a lot of apathy. Why should I vote? My vote doesn't count. That is a lie from the pits of hell. It
mhm,
may not feel like your vote counts because maybe things don't turn out the way you want them to. But if you think that I can say it would be worst if you didn't vote. And we have got to begin to be generations of voters.
yes. Yeah, I think that's when let's hone in on that, right? When we talking about generation of voters, right? The thing is this: our ancestors did die for us to be able to be in this position to vote. We talked about this yesterday on the broadcast about how Martin Luther King was very vigilant about making sure that Black people had the right to vote. You had the option to participate in democracy. And those things, our ancestors, our people, they died for those opportunities. So for when us as people that's coming up and nowadays in the modern day, like when we in a city like Flint and we're voting at what 7%, right? Or around 10%, that is a very low outcome. But those 10% are making a choice for the city of about 85,000. And that is just not a true representation. So when we have something that we have an issue with, and I know everybody living in their everyday lives, but if we are not getting engaged, we're not voting, we're not at these meetings, we're not holding our elected representative accountable, then we're not participating in democracy. We're just letting folks do what they want to do. And then furthermore, is even bigger and beyond us voting. We just don't vote and then go home and expect folks to just do the work and do the job. That's just like anybody who is in a workforce, right? You work for 90 days, right? Or you're on a temporary, you know, deal for 90 days. And depending on how you working and depending on your outcome and results, folks is going to judge you by, right? They're going to see if they're going to keep you or let you go, right? And a lot of agencies just let you go. See, for us, we have to adopt that same mindset and attitude. When we have these elected officials come into office, if they're not being held accountable, first and foremost, they have to have objectives. We have to lay out a plan for them, right? We have to work in unison with folks and say, hey, this is what we want for not just our ward, but our community, right? This is what we like to see in our neighborhoods. This is the type of program that we like to have, for our youth. This type of economic development we like to see around the area. And if we are not putting those plans in place and we're not a part of that, we're not at the table, we're not working alongside with our elected officials, then they go off and maybe do, what they want to do, or they may off They may be just doing some stuff that may not contribute to what we would like from them, right? And I think that's the thing that we have to understand, that we owe more than just first and foremost getting there to vote, but then also the real work happens first day in office. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only thing is, and I can just speak for myself before really getting engaged with the city council. I was, and I don't know why the word derelict comes to mind, but I was irresponsible. I just went along every day, not even paying attention to who the governor was, who any of our elected officials were. And so
Hmm.
I was not a engaged, so therefore I was not an informed constituent. The thing that you have to realize is that we come from, and when I say we, I'm speaking specifically, I remember my husband's grandfather, 93 years old, looking for his absentee ballot, calling down to the city clerk's office, making sure that he had his ballot. Why? Because he valued getting involved. And what is
Hmm.
happening is, I think that we become so complacent. There's
Yeah.
been a level of apathy that has happened in our community, that we just figure they doing what they want to do anyway. And so we are not deeming it important enough to get involved. And it has to be a priority. You have to make it a priority. You have to begin to engage those that you have a sphere of influence around.
That's right.
Have you voted? Are you registered? Getting ID. There are a lot of laws, there's no question, that is doing everything they can to suppress voters. There is no question. But we have to do our part. We
Hmm.
can't be trying to go to vote without ID. There are organizations that will help you get your ID. So there are some basic things that if we do, we cannot fall victim to any of those things, right? As much
Hmm.
as it is irritating, as much as it is designed to frustrate you, to stop you from voting, you got to be able to say, this is not going to be something they can use against me. You got to know,
Yeah.
if you've moved, you have to go down and register in your new place,
Nah,
because
that's
that's
true.
important, right? And so these are
Hmm.
basic things that we have to do as responsible residents, so that I take away your power to oppress me.
Mm.
That won't be one of the things that you can use, right? And so
Right.
if we know the tactics, we have to do what we can so
Hmm.
that those tactics don't work on us.
Come on now. Those are things is they betting on us not to vote. And I want to make sure everybody who's on the live, be sure to everybody like the page, everybody like the live, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, Fli-City Blackout. We appreciate all the support. Um, but this is how we want to continue to get that information out there. So if you're on the live, please like the page, like the broadcast. She is dropping some jewels right now, right? A lot of times, man, we living in our everyday lives, and we don't realize how important it is for us to be a part of this this democracy when we're talking about doing our due diligence if we move, register to vote. Every time that you go down to the Secretary of State, if you register your vehicle, you're doing something down at the Secretary of State, they're asking you if you need to register to vote. See, those things we have to make sure that we take advantage of. We do have to ensure that first and foremost that we do have ID. It's the basic things. Like we got ID. Right. Now we able to register to vote, right? And then being astute of who's on the ballot. Because just like they have going on right now, you get people that's on the ballot, you get people who run, they make you all these promises, but then when they get in the position, then they doing everything or going against everything that they said that they would, right? And that's how we fall victim to it because we haven't did no research. We can't go for the yard signs, the flyers, right? All those different things. You have to really watch a person. You have to really study a person. You have to really look and see what type of work that they have put forth in this community. Then that way, and then you have to talk to the people, right? You have to talk to those folks who are running for office so you can get a better understanding of that person's mentality, right? The thought processes, the ideas and goals. And then that helps you make a competent decision on, how to vote, right? And those things that this needs to be like a basic class here in our community, Monica. We have to be talking about these things and having dialogue well before it's election time, because that's what happens. And I got like brothers like Marcus and Mike, them guys are working in GM, right? And they went through elections with the UAW being a part of the union, right? So you want to make a competent decision on who's going to represent you, whether you are in the union, just as well as you want to make a competent decision of people in your community.
That's right.
And that's gonna make a difference in what type of resources you're gonna get, what type of things take place in the city. Hey, what's going on, Slow League? We see you, DeWaun. How you doing, brother? But that all play a part, and I think we take that for granted. Make sure y'all like the show. But yeah, we take that from granted, Miss Galloway, and I think that's something that we have to go ahead and really look at holistically and really change the way that we've been going about this thing. Because and I understand why folks get discouraged when they see that circus down in city council. They see the activity going on down there is like amusing, right? It's like Playhouse, right?
Well, but it's important to understand that
Mhm.
we can say that on the congressional level as well, right? And
Right.
so the legislative arena has become very politically motivated, and not so much as people. But
Mhm.
one of the things that we also need to understand that it is not easy to serve residents, especially when you are in lack. It's very challenging when you have a lack of the financial resources that you need to take care of the constituency that you're responsible for, right? But I want
Mhm.
to go back just for a second on the voting.
Yeah.
There has to what is that? What? Which one? I'm yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so and one of the things that's important, Jawan, is it's not easy serving a community where there is lack. There is lack. People are
Mhm.
struggling.
Oh yeah.
Not only are people struggling, but the federal government and the state government that are responsible for funneling funds to us have not necessarily funneled enough money to us. So we
Mhm.
have to be responsible for using the purse that we have and trying to assist people in the way that we should. Now, I will say this, it's important for people to understand, and I kind of chuckled as I thought about it. Many times think about how devastating we are as a society when we hear government shut down, right?
Mhm.
We hear,
Yeah.
you know what, Congress hasn't passed a budget, and so the government is going to be shut down, and they give you these dates, and it's designed to drive fear as well, rightfully so, don't get me wrong. But I want to make
Mhm.
sure that you understand that Congress, who is the legislative body on the federal level, who is likened unto the city council in a city, has
Yeah.
decided that
Mhm.
they will not allow the executive branch, which is the president, to pass a budget without their priorities being recognized.
Come on now. Come
And
on.
so, with that
Come
being
on.
said, they've decided that, you know what? I'm not willing to allow you to pass a budget that is not addressing some of the things that are important to the constituency that I serve. Now,
Come
the
on.
reason why Congress can do that is because they have enough votes to do it. And they're
Mhm.
okay with people hearing that there's going to be a shutdown. That's what legislators are. They have the purse string. They have the ability when the ARPA funds, and I don't know why I need to talk about the ARPA funds. Unfortunately for me,
Yeah.
I didn't win my reelection, so I wasn't there to be able to allocate those resources. But the city council has the authority, or should have the authority, if they are in agreement
Mhm.
on what those funds can be used at. As long as they're within the guidelines, there are communities that are doing it well. There are
Yeah.
communities that have helped the elderly. There are communities that have helped people with their homes. And so, but what happens
Yeah.
is if only one side is deciding where all the money is, and they've got enough people on the other side to not really pay attention to what the residents are saying, then it is what it is. But Congress is not like that. That's the point that I'm making. The Congress,
Mhm.
the city council on the federal level, for those of
Yeah,
you that don't really understand, they've decided that we'll shut it down
yeah,
because
and
we
that
know that there has to be some give and take. My constituents are waiting
right.
for something to be done. And so there is some give and take, and they realize that there is. And so I just want to make sure that people understand that when you understand your roles and you understand the power that you have with the people that you need, then you can really make some things happen.
See, I think that's what we're trying to get to right there, Monica. I love how you breaking that down, right? And I see AC saying Flint City Council has the guidelines from the federal governance. When when you talk about when you're talking about the Senate or you're talking about Congress, you know it is some give and take. They are
It is.
making deals and they are looking at how they can go ahead and make it make sense for them at the same time put those earmarks in place so folks is gonna vote on it, right? Just like when you just made a phenomenal point about the ARPA dollars. See, we got these ARPA dollars, and other communities have done well with these dollars. You had an influx of money that came straight to the Flint City coffers to be able to utilize in a way that I guess the city seemed that deemed fit, right, within those criteria. And we just moved $40 million of the ARPA dollars back into the general fund. See, these are decisions that's made that doesn't have the people in mind. So when the people had wrote in all those applications and the elders talked about, oh, I want to get rehab on my roof, right? I wanted some renovation on my property, right? Oh, okay, well, we want to do some youth services, right? Or different nonprofits on the grassroots level who normally never don't get the support, never get the funding, right? They had ideas and concepts that they like to introduce to the community. See, we didn't get that type of opportunity when those monies are being moved to the general fund to be done with however, I guess the administration and the co-equal branch of government sees fit. But that's not what we asked for. That's not what we said, we wanted those dollars to be allocated to. And you got people making decisions based on their own cognizance. And that is the reason why it's so important to be able to check these folks, but then also shut it down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the other thing that you have to so city council is a whole different animal, you guys. It really is. I learned a lot. There were a lot of growing pains, but I learned that I love legislation. I love law. I love black and white. That's probably not a good thing to say, but I don't like gray. I like when things are really spelled out. With the ARPA dollars, we had plenty of time before we received the ARPA dollars to already allocate them. There were
Mhm.
already communities that knew exactly what that money could be used for. They knew the guidelines and they knew what they wanted to use them for. But
Yeah.
that wasn't done. We didn't do that work, right?
Mhm.
You have to do that work even before you receive it so that by
Come
the
on now.
time you receive it, you already know what you're going to do with it, right? The other
Yeah.
thing that I learned, and this is just for me, um, it is tough as a leader.
Mhm.
If you are in lack, you can find yourself compromising if you're not careful. There
Yeah.
sometimes in leadership positions, you can use your leadership influence for your own benefit and maybe
Mhm.
not for others that you serve. That's not so easy. That doesn't happen so easily if I'm not in lack myself personally.
That's right.
Everybody's
Yeah.
not like that. But what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, if I have an because I've just, I've been really, DeWaun, out of the limelight, haven't really paid any attention to city council, went down because Jan Marie Arbor, who
Mhm.
is very, very involved in our block club,
Yeah.
she keeps me informed. She's going
Mhm.
to text me. She's going to call me. She's going to send out a voicemail. She's going to inform me. Whether or not I've been informed, she's going to bring me up to speed. And so
Yeah.
when Jan Marie Arbor calls me,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
respond
That's
because
right.
I know that she loves this community and I know that she's paying attention. And so when
Come
she
on.
calls me and she says, "Hey, there's money being given to organizations that elected officials are a part of."
Come on now.
The reality is the perception of evil we have to
Yeah.
stay away from.
Yeah.
You really do. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I serve a community that, according to the last statistical thing that they had, was about 40% in poverty. And so
That's
when we
right.
serve a community that is in poverty, there is
Mm-hmm.
no way that I should be comfortable taking money for an organization that I'm going to benefit from when the constituents that I serve is wondering whether or not they're going to be able to feed their children or not, whether or
Come
not
on
they're
now.
going to get the food stamps necessary for the, whether or not the services that they've been used to are now gone. And so I say that even as one that sat in it, but then hindsight 2020. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking around making whatever salary I'm making and I work a full-time job, if I'm
Come
working
on now.
making 80,000 between council and my full-time job, and
Yeah.
I got an organization that I'm letting money be funneled through that I benefit from, the perception of evil, you got to get rid of it. You
Yeah.
just cannot do it. And I don't care who you are, eventually it's going to find you out. And so it's important, even for this community, to know that at this time, there is the beginning process of the budget. But more than anything, grant dollars. That is something that is rarely in the city council eyes. That was
No,
something that
they
I began to say, wait a minute. Why are we finding out about the grant allocations? There's a lot of money in that grant allocation. Where's this money coming from? How come this organization seems to get money every single year and we are
mm-hmm.
not getting a report card on what they're doing? How did they do the last year that they got it? But there's
Mm-hmm.
some people that are just every year they're going to get money. It doesn't matter whether they're
Yeah.
successful with the money or not. And so, but as a community, we can't just go down and fight and argue. We got to be involved. If those dollars are being allocated, any meeting that is going on, we need to be down there. And when
Yeah.
somebody is informing us on what
Yeah.
things are happening, we have got to make sure. But this is the way that some communities are, and we've got to
Mm-hmm.
change our community. But it starts with us. We've got
Yeah.
to make voting and involvement a
Yeah.
conversation like we do with football. If you sit down on
Come on now.
Sunday and spend 8 hours with your family watching football, you need to spend some time sitting down with your children, talking to them about legislation. And I just want to say this: when I finally became really engaged in voting, because there was a time that I didn't vote. And I'm going to tell you
Mm-hmm.
why I didn't vote. Because the way I was raised is we're Democrats because we're poor, and the Democrats are for the poor, and the Republicans are for the rich. And I remember
Yeah.
thinking as a young woman, this is true story. I remember thinking, in my mind, DeWaun, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
rich and I wasn't poor. So I didn't
You're
see
right.
anybody that represented me. So I just stopped voting. And there was a time that I finally became engaged and said, what are my values?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I voting? Why would I let somebody have my vote? Do they share the same values that I share? You can't possibly know what somebody, everything that they're saying. You don't know if everything they're saying is true. You just can't. But you should have your own things that are important to you as a
Mm-hmm.
starter conversation, right? And so
Yeah.
we began to make sure that our children, we made voting an event, DeWan. We
Come on.
began to discuss. We didn't give our kids their ideas. We said,
Yeah.
these are some of the things that we look for, but you've got to look for what's important to you. And we
Mm-hmm.
made a thing about it. And so leading up to election, we got all the ones in our house, even the teenagers that could not vote. And we got up in the morning, we sat down, we all
Come
went
on
to
now.
the election site together. And we
Come
took
on now.
pictures, you know what I'm saying?
No,
This
I
is
remember
my
them
son's
days.
first year to vote. And we did that. Why? Because we
Yeah.
needed voting to be important. And your kids don't know important voting is important if it doesn't seem important to you. Right. And
Come
so
on
you
now.
have to
Yeah.
begin to walk them through the things that are important. And so if the
Yeah.
community is important, they should see it being important to you.
No, I think that, and you said a thing right there. We got to make it a thing again. You know, I do remember when we were all little, we used to ride together to be able to go to the voting booth to be able to get the sticker as children. But then we saw like our parents go vote, right? She would take time, mom take time off of work and be able to take us up there. But that was the thing. So we saw that coming up. We
It
saw
was
that, our
important.
grandmother talked about, these elections. They talked about who was coming, who was running, right? But then also my grandfather and them used to be sitting in the back room. They used to sit in the basement, had these conversations about who they going to get behind and who they putting his money behind.
They
I think
would.
those, and then we would be just around it. But those are the things that we got to get back to. We got to make it a thing again. We got to make sure folks is energized, is excited, just as well as somebody come to the city to perform, right, at a local club or something. You see everybody sharing that stuff, everybody getting involved, everybody being about it, everybody coming out, everybody showing up, everybody appreciate them coming to the town. We got to be just about that, about our own democracy, about our own, our own elections in our own community. Like we
You
have
know,
to
that
go ahead
made
and
me
be able to
think of
show up.
now that made me think of an elected position. So
What's that?
the county clerk,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
clerks, the position of the clerk, if you read it, the clerk should be out in the community. They shouldn't be deciding who you
Come on
vote
now.
for, but they should be making you aware that an election is coming. They
Yeah.
should be doing everything they can, not the day that the election is and it says vote today and you ride
Right.
by it and somebody that doesn't know, you look up and you say vote. Like what we voting on? The
Yeah.
the county clerk and the clerks in the community. And that is a piece of what they do, going out, making
Mhm.
residents aware of. What would happen if we held clerks
Mhm.
responsible for an increase in the percentage of voters, right?
Come
How
on
many
now.
voters did you go to? How many community centers did you go to? How many senior facilities did you go to talk
That's
to
right.
people about voting? Because it's not about
Yeah.
party. It's not about who's
Right.
on the ballot. As the clerk,
Yeah.
you just want to make the residents that you serve aware that we have an election that's going to be coming up. And these are
Yeah.
the things that are on the ballot. And
Come
this
on
is
now.
how you use a ballot. This is how
Yeah.
you make sure you fill out a ballot.
That's right.
Because if
That's
you
right.
fill out a ballot incorrectly, you will
Come on.
spoil your ballot. What does spoil your ballot mean? It means that your ballot is not valid. It means that it
Right.
didn't count.
Man, you know what? I love that whole thing about showing people how to fill out a ballot because you're right. Sometimes when folks taking tests, they don't even fill in the bubble all the way. Listen, those things is easily getting disqualified. You may not even know it. You might think that you came down here and voted. You may think that you did what you had to do today. You think you had made a change, but you didn't even know how to go ahead and fill this ballot out correctly, right? Whether it's a straight ticket, whether you're voting in, individual, right? You have to be able to go ahead and have those conversations. And our clerk, Dominique, this is a conversation for Dominique Clemens. You want to get out there early. You want to get the excitement about that, right? I love what you said. Like, it ain't about just, during election time, you see all these voting, you see all these people, you see all these shirts, see all these signs, but you ain't had time to really even study, even know that the election was coming. Let's be on the
Right.
front end of it, right? We should be talking about this 2 years in advance, right? And people who are looking to run to get in these seats and operate these capacities, we need to be able to vet you out well before. We need to learn everything that you're trying to do. And that's something that we got to do our homework on. We need to have town halls. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to having those real discussions about what are the needs, what are the wants. And not everybody just don't need to be running. That's how we sit up here and cause friction with each other. We don't even be strategic about who we put in office. You got all these different seats coming available. You got like what, 2 recalls that's taking place in May, or you got potential to. But then also you got the primaries in August, and then you got the general. See, folks need to know about these dates well in advance. We need to be knowing about this already. And I think, when you're talking about creating some type of synergy around it, right, that is what we've been missing. Monica, we don't even be excited about voting no more. But then also, too, some of these characters and these clowns, we ain't even excited about voting for them,
Well,
right?
but our hearts have been broken. But
Yeah.
it's important too to understand, and I say this, DeWaun, as someone who was able to serve 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I served the Flint City Council, I realized, and I was a problem at times. I really was. And what I
Yeah, good.
realized is that I served in a broken state. I served in an insecure state, right?
Come on
And
now.
so it
Come
takes it
on.
takes time to get your confidence up. And so by the
Yeah.
time I had got my confidence up, I had already lost the confidence of the people that I served. I
Yeah.
cannot take that back. But what I will do is spend the rest of my days in the city of Flint educating people in any way that I can.
That's
Why?
right.
Because educated constituents change the outcome of halls, town halls, city halls. It doesn't matter. You have to know that as a community, we are more stronger together. And that's why
Come
I'm
on
not
now.
going to challenge anybody on that Flint City Council. It takes a lot to serve the community. They have
Yeah.
been on that council, some of them only 2 years. You can't learn to, DeWaun, do you realize that this is a $50+ million organization? It's not like doing your budget at home. It sounds good to say that, but that's not true.
Yeah,
Because
right.
unlike at your house, you know what I mean? You can say, we ain't eating out this week. You can say we
That's
eating
right.
ramen this week. This is about
Come on.
whether or not people feel safe in their homes. Are we
Yeah.
able to fund the necessary? We're not even
Yeah.
talking about wants. We're talking about
Yeah.
necessary things. Are they getting clean, drinkable water? Are they
Come on.
getting public safety? Are police officers feeling comfortable managing this large community? There are some things that we can do. And so we can't just beat up on our elected officials.
Yeah.
There are some times where
I
we
got it.
deserve it. There's no question about it. But there's
Yeah.
got to be some building up too. And I just wanted to say this. When I ended up not being reelected to my office, I had just been elected as the president of the Michigan Municipal League. That was a big deal. You can't
I
serve in
remember
that
that.
office though if you're not an elected official. And so there were many people that said, "Well, how does she do that? She ain't doing this here." The reality is environment means something, DeWaun. When I was
Yeah.
in the company of the Michigan Municipal League, you had leadership from all over the state of Michigan and some that came from out of other states to come in to feed in us. And you had a collaboration like nothing else. People are there. We're there to glean from each other. We're there to encourage each other. And so environment means something. When you put people in an environment that is not hostile, that is not
Come on.
confrontational, where you're
Come on
not
now.
beating them down every chance you get, when you put them in an environment where somebody says, "I want to build you up," they look you, because it's like somebody that's been deprived. You care about what I think. You want to hear my thoughts. You want to know
Yeah.
my ideas. You want to collaborate with me. And so I think that we have to do a better job at in our community as well, to not just give up on people so quickly. First, one, make a good decision on who you're going to vote for leadership, but
Yeah.
then walk alongside them. See what you can do. Then let them prove to you that they're just not going to listen to you, right? And
See,
so,
that's what I was saying too. Like when you talking about walking alongside with folks, right? That's when you can really be able to, be there every step of the way. Like I for one ain't trying to beat up on our elected officials. We really not. But when you're not doing the job, you're not performing, then you deserve to get beat up on. But at the same time, if I haven't took the time out to spend time with you, to pull you to the side, like, hey, listen, man, these are some things that I think that we can work on, right? And these are some things that we should be working on, and then I have an opportunity to help change the course, right? Because the whole thing is this, like, a person coming into office, it's a thing that you got to learn. You don't come in there off the gate, be knowing how this system ran. You just coming in, it's been votes and things, there's resolutions that's been in place prior to you getting there. You need to learn the game. You need to get with folks who've been in there, who understand this, right? You need to
right,
work with your peers to be able to get understanding, so you all are collective. Like, you don't just think like you just gonna get it all in your time, just you being in office. But the thing is, when you got folks like you was mentioning, folks that you go to in your community that's been here for a while and they know about these standards. So, you know that they're going to be there to hold you accountable and then also provide insight. See, we got to take
right,
that for what it is. We got to start learning how to be about that. We got to be like, all right, well, listen, you know what? I got to be working with my community. I got to be hand to hand with folks. I got to be out there talking. I got to be at these meetings, these community conversations, at the town halls, at these centers, in the wards, these block clubs. I got to know the pulse of the community. If you're not out there with the people, you're not out there talking, you're not out there congregating with folks at the church, if you're not even just having an understanding, then, you operating on your own plane. So then the thing is, you will get, folks feeling a certain type of way because you don't take the time out to listen to them. So that's one thing that I did see in the community. And that's what I would love to see for us, right? To start looking at it like this, like, we all kind of growing together, and it's got to be some continuity in this. I will be getting with folks, who's done this before, who learned the game, and then also who can help me be better in my position. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think sometimes folks be so prideful, you know what I'm saying? They think they made it, they think they arrived, right? And I be seeing that attitude and that personality down in city council, and it's sickening. I don't even like Eric. I know Eric been down there for umpteen years. But there's some things that Eric can learn too, right? You know what I'm saying? Some things that folks can just kind of can build from. But we ain't taking the time to be able to do that. Yeah, we only selling ourselves short. Make sure y'all
Yeah.
like and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to like and
Yeah.
subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, I think that what we can do to help our elected officials out, you guys, is be an informed group of people. You have a realm of influence that we don't have. And so everybody should be using their platform, their realm of influence. And Jaleel,
Yeah.
you are absolutely right. We have to change our conditions. We have to love ourselves. We have to begin to work collaboratively with each other. And I am
Mhm.
telling you, this community will do well. The level of hostility that is going on in our government, there
Yeah.
is not the ability to survive. But what I can tell you is when people are being treated hostilely, they will find themselves seeking refuge from other people. And it may not be
Mhm.
the people that have the best interest for the community, but if they feel needed and loved and nurtured and valued, and
Come on now.
again, I'm telling y'all, lack is hard. It is hard. You will find yourself doing things. Somebody puts a little money towards your way. And
Come on now.
we have to be in a place that uh I am not running for the seventh ward. This says, former city councilwoman Galloway, why do you not want to run for the seventh ward? You might have already answered that. I'm just tuning in. You know what?
Listen.
Because it's
What
time
more
for
to say,
someone
LG?
else. That was a great time for me, but I'm telling you, if Jan Marie Arbor put her
Don't
hand,
say
I'm telling you this, the time that I've been away from the city council, this is a true story. Jan Marie is always informed. She is involved. She calls me, she texts me, she lets me know, she sends me articles. And so but I am honored for the time that the residents let me, but the residents need some new blood. And I think the blood, I'm just telling you. Um yeah. So but
it.
I'm going to do everything I can to help the community in any way that I can, because I love legislation. I love the community. I think there's some great things that we can do to partner with, but we have got to stop the hostility, like Jaleel said, in it internally. We have got to
Mhm.
decide that it took a long time for me to, I don't want to fight. It doesn't do
Yeah.
anything but raise anxiety, your heart rate, and just, I mean, who needs that? This community needs some healing. I
Yeah.
think that that's what we need. The children need to be able to see legislation in a way that has changes their lives. And so I'm gonna
Okay.
do it. I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna rally behind the candidates that I believe in,
Mhm.
and whatever I can do. But I'm gonna be somebody that shouts from the top of the. They can't oppress our votes if we
That's right.
get the things done. It's something when you walk into an establishment that
Yeah.
wants to treat you a certain way, and you know that you have a right to be there. So when I go in to vote, you guess what, DeWaun? I'm armed with my ID and my voter's registration card. I don't want to hear nothing you saying. Right. And so there's a confidence that comes with that. Instead of being a constituent that says, they better not say nothing to me, I ain't got my ID. No, we're done
Yeah.
with that. There's too
Yeah.
many resources out there. If you need some help, it's 50, what is it, 10, 12, $15. There's organizations that will help you. We got to do the right thing. We got to take away what they can use against us. They don't
Come
want
on.
us to get out and vote. They love the low voter turnout. So
All the time.
maybe in these next elections, we can blow their minds by talking to as many people as we can.
And I think that's where, I think, let's talk about that, right? What do you see? Who do you see out here? Because this is a real conversation. I know folks got, we got these recalls coming up. I know you're aware of that. You got one in the ninth world with Eva Worthy, right? But then
I heard
also
that
there's
at the
some,
meeting. I didn't know that before. I heard that at the
yeah,
meeting.
Oh yeah, she out of there. You know what? That woman terrible. I love. The thing is this, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't be trying to be.
I'm not gonna talk about
I don't
nobody.
be trying to beat up. This my perception. I don't like
This
to beat
your
up on
show.
women.
It's
But
your
listen,
show.
I don't like how Eva be presenting herself. I don't like how she represent down there for city council. I don't like none of that stuff, right? She like a terrible representation for the good folks in the Ninth Ward. And I think they deserve more, right? So what I be saying is, and then also you got in the second ward, they got, active recall going on against Liddell Lewis. That's on the floor right now. So, and then two, you got the 7th Ward Councilwoman Candace Mushat on the election for May. So you got potentially 3 new seats, right? 3 different people. We always talking about, before we get to that, you know how people be voting in cliques? They vote like, you got the 5 right now that be voting together. And then you got this other side. No matter what the other side say, they don't want to support that. No matter what Eric talking about, they don't even want to hear that mess he talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. This is how I go. How do we sit up there and really have some true competency when people are not thinking about it and looking at it and voting from an individual? Like, so if this sounds good, if I think this resolution makes sense for not only the folks in my ward, but then also it makes sense for people in your ward and in this community. Why are we not voting on things that actually make sense for everybody versus not voting for something because I don't like that person? Do you think that that's good leadership?
No, terrible.
Nobody thinks that that's good leadership. But there,
So,
it.
no, I'm just saying, no, this is what's going on. We can't get nothing. We can't really get nothing passed when we got something really good on the floor because people just got problems with each other. Listen, I don't care if we got, adversaries or whatever the case may be. But all I know is, hey, listen, if this is something good, then I'm gonna support it because I believe in the resolution. I believe in the mission, not the person. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, the other thing that you have to understand, 6 to 10% of the population. And so when you've got such a low voter turnout, you don't deem that maybe there is anything that you have to change. And so you have to see the good for everybody. And we have to understand that these things seem common sense, right? But they clearly may not be. And so, but this is a series to get to. And so what I would say is there needs to be people in those wards that hopefully the council people respect enough to
Yeah.
hear from, right?
Okay.
That they respect enough to take some counsel from.
Yeah.
But again, you're talking to the Councilwoman Galloway 2.5 years out, right? So when you're not going down there every day, you get the opportunity to self-reflect,
Yeah.
look over some things. It's a challenging position, and
Mhm.
it is an awesome position. It takes a lot of courage um, to run for election. It takes a lot of courage. You know what that's like, and sometimes
I
you come out on the end where you don't win, but you hope that it does not cause you to give up, because we won't give up, because there are people in the community that don't realize that they're in a fight for their lives, that their families are in a fight for their lives. And if there aren't people that consistently, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to say her name over and over and over again. Because when I tried to crawl into secret and not be involved, Jan Marie Arbor
Yeah.
literally would call me and say, this is going on. Are you aware of this?
Listen, we
Our
we
block
got
club.
some real.
I'm the secretary of our block club. And they keep me informed. And sometimes I'm so busy, I don't make the meetings, and I'm like, I probably should resign. Nope, 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 you're not gonna resign. They keep me engaged, and I appreciate that about them, because you know what, DeWaun, this is the
Yes, ma'am.
community that I live in, and I'm not going to
Right.
stop fighting for it. I don't have to go down to City Hall and be at the mic. There are some things that hopefully, like I said, we
I'm
can have
glad to
enough
see you at the night.
relationships with we can have some relationships with our council people, and
Yeah.
hopefully they value when we call them. and just share, hey, this is, but you got to be looking at the resolutions. If you're not looking at the resolutions, you can't give your council people any advice on it.
Nah, you know what? I'm glad that, I did see you at the mic, and I'm glad that, you did step up to that, and you spoke your truth. And then this is hot off the press. I see
Wait, let me
Councilwoman
tell you
Tanya.
this. I just need to make sure that the constituency don't misunderstand Councilwoman Galloway. Poor voting needs to be condemned. If you are voting in a block and it's not the most beneficial thing for your
Yes,
constituency, if you're voting against things that are
yes,
beneficial, it should be condemned. Now,
yes.
I'm not the recall person, but
Come on
people are.
now.
And the
Yeah,
recall process is so much easier now. You wouldn't believe it. All you have to do is say, Councilwoman Galloway was absent for the special meeting dated January 3rd, 2024.
that's right.
Provide
That's it.
the record from the clerk and take it in, and that 3-panel judgment, all they would say is this recall is approved. If you can,
Yeah,
now I'm just saying it's a very simple process, which
yeah.
makes it even scarier. So what is
You know what? I do want to say this, man. Make sure y'all like
oh,
and
Jan
subscribe to
Marie
the
is
channel.
running for the 7th ward.
Yep,
Thank you, Tanya
yep.
Byrne.
I'll
This
make
is
sure y'all
needed.
like and
She's running.
subscribe to Fli-City Blackout. Make sure you like everybody on the chat. Like,
Thank
subscribe,
you,
and
Councilwoman
share.
Tanya
Share this.
Burns. Thank you for
We
everything you
appreciate you.
do. If anybody understands what you go through, I know it's not easy, but I thank God that the constituency has somebody that will not give up even when it seems like your voice is not being heard.
All right. Hey, listen, this is hot off the press. Big shout out to 6th Ward Councilwoman Tanya Burns. She is in the house, right? She definitely saying this conversation is much needed. It definitely is. Jan Marie is running for the 7th
Woo
Ward seat. Right?
woo!
Look at y'all speaking that
No
in
offense.
existence,
And let
right?
the
Let
hey,
me
I just
talk.
want the
So I
record to
get this.
show. I
Jan,
just
what's
want the
happening?
record to show. Wait. I need to say this. I don't have no problems with Councilwoman appoint Candace Mouchette.
Listen,
I just
I don't
know that
know what
Jan
Candace saying
Marie
up there.
Arbor keeps me informed. She keeps this
Yeah,
community informed, but she didn't just
yeah,
start now. She did it when I was in council. And so I am glad to
yeah.
see that that is the case. I'm just saying, she loves this community. She lives in this community. And I'm telling you, she will fight for this
Uh,
community. And I'm telling you that Jan Marie Arbor, you got my vote and anything
Come
I
on,
can do.
Jan. Come on out here, Jan.
I'm
We
just
gotta
saying,
get
if you
that.
need me to get some signatures, I can get some signatures for you. Because Jan Marie ain't going to be bought. She not.
Come on, listen. We need more of that. We need more of that. We need more of that, Monica. We need folks that ain't gonna be bought. We need folks that's gonna be dedicated to the mission. You know what?
Mm.
I've heard a lot about Jan Marie. Listen, Jan, we gotta tap in. We gotta tap
You got
Jan
to
in
get
on
her
this.
on the show. You got to get
We
her on
gotta
the
tap
show
in.
now. Open up
We're
a
gonna tap
space.
in.
Open up the platform. Share your platform. Share your platform with people that you can rally around. But we need to,
Yeah,
and I know we got to end this, but what I want us to do as a constituency, if the clerks are not going to get into the community and tell people that there's an election going on, then we
yeah,
have to do it. We have to do it any way that we can. This is good stuff. I'm not beating anybody up. I want you, for the record, I'm not beating
yeah.
anybody up. And running for council is challenging. Being on the council is challenging. Spending all those hours in council is challenging. What I am
Yeah,
saying is that we
yeah,
as a community need to rally around the leaders that we choose and help them incubate into becoming
mhm,
who they can be. They will be
yeah,
better with you, supporting
yeah,
them, helping them learn through the learning curve, right? But again, challenging, that's something else. And so I'm just excited. You just excited me. I'm gonna have to I'm just saying, make sure I, no offense to nobody else. But
listen,
this is how people vote. They vote for people that keep them informed. And
that's right. And
that's somebody that loves us, loves our seniors.
I appreciate that too. You know, when you got Jan got a lot of support on here. Listen, we rocking with you, Jan. Listen, and it will be the same for anybody who's on city council if you're really doing for the people. People will go out in droves to support you. They'll come out, stand, they'll be with you, they'll be making it happen. Right. You got folks that's calling you out to come out here and represent, man. I love to see that. I love to see our elders in position and they out here making a difference because they've been out here on the front line for a long time, and they informing the community, like you said, right? They want to see what's best. They want to
But
see our
y'all better know if you supporting, because the opposition, you have to understand, money is what has been winning elections. And so people won't knock on your door, you won't see them, but they'll drop 18 million flyers in your mailbox, because statistically speaking, the more people see your flyer, it means that they must be the ones that represent me. No, it just means that they're the ones that raise the most money. So they don't have to come see you because they just dropped 18 flyers in your mailbox. And all of a sudden you see their name 18 times and you say, oh, that must be the person that I'm supposed to vote for. No, it's not.
right.
Everybody don't have $1 million to run for Congress, but there should be
Mm,
some grassroots people that
yeah,
decide that they're going to help a person
yeah,
run for Congress
yeah.
with the grassroots. I'm just saying.
Now
I'm
you
just
know
saying,
what?
I don't have 350,000. If I had some supporters, I would definitely take on the challenge. I'm just saying we have got to do something better. But we're gonna educate the residents. We're gonna, if nothing else, we're gonna get people registered. Come on, you guys, register to vote. And
Yeah,
DeWaun, we have to make sure that we start posting the resources, because there are organizations that will help you get your ID if you need to get
come
your
on.
ID, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
let's just do that. Whatever we can do to build up the voting base for
yeah.
real, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just excited. Thank you for having me on your show. I don't know if there was I'm not signing anybody's recall position, but thank you for having me on the show. We didn't well, Jan
We
Marie is
need you. We
engaged in the
need you back.
process and
We
has
need
a
you
new
back.
fresh, yeah. I'm so
We
excited.
need. Listen, we need you. We need you to be in the conciliary role, right? You got to be counseling these folks. We got to make sure we got to be, even when you don't necessarily might have to be in city council seat, right? You still, with the team. And I think we need more of that. We need more ways of having these incubators and conversations, right? And we got new, fresh perspectives on city council, and it's filled with different ideas, and we got new, fresh faces of folks who really to put the work in, and then we got a mobilized community that's ready to get behind, that's they own code, they fighting, right? I think that's gonna change the course for Flint. Right now, we just so dollar sign because we've been so beat, we've been so
We
down and out.
have.
Folks is just so tired. We still tired from the water crisis.
I
Think about
wish
it.
people had been,
Ain't
look,
nobody
Duane,
been
I
putting
wish people
nobody
had
been
had the
putting they hurt.
opportunity. I wish people had the opportunity to hear Judge Tabitha Marsh's um address. I call it an address, for she was
Mhm.
the keynote speaker. And
Okay.
when I tell you, I walked out of there because there's this beating up, there's this devastation. What happens when your whole community has been poisoned? And now
Right.
everywhere you turn, all these municipalities are saying, yeah, we got lead in the water too, like it's a common thing. But the reality is there was a derelict of duties that caused water to not be treated, that
Mhm.
caused the pipes to leak into the water, that caused lead. It's not the
Come on.
same thing, but that's a way to minimize what happened, the trauma that happened to our community. And it doesn't
Yeah.
help that there was never anyone really held accountable for what was done to us, right? And so, but Judge Marsh delivered it was just a state of the address that when I mean her words wrestled with me all night long, and her theme was hope against hope. You cannot
Mm.
let your hope be taken away from you, because if they can take your hope, they can take your ability, because hope is what causes you to get up again. See, it's
Come on.
hopelessness that causes depression. When
Come
I
on now.
feel like there is nothing that can happen for me, I
Yeah.
become depressed. I
Yeah.
become despondent.
Hmm.
I'm not engaged. I don't want to
Yeah.
see anybody. I don't want to talk about anything. But
Yeah.
when your hope starts to say, yep, they did some horrible things. But and one of the things I'm going to say, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, I will tell anybody that the residents of the city of Flint are some of the most strongest people. It's like we refuse to die. We will not let you kill us. We will be on life support
where they telling you as soon as you pull the plug, we done. And as soon as you pull the plug, it's like somebody hit us with the, you know what I'm saying? And so we crawl. Like she said, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but keep moving. And so this community is
Mhm.
tenacious. We refuse to give up. It don't matter what hand we dealt. It don't matter how bitter the water is. We
Yeah,
are a resilient people and we gonna fight all the way to the end.
we've always known that we can go anywhere around the world. People gonna ask us about the water. They're gonna ask to be okay, but they know for sure like we resilient people. And you
Yeah.
are absolutely right, man. We do not die out. We do not fall victim. We don't cry about our circumstances. All we've
Well,
been
we
known
cry
to do is
sometimes. We do cry
yeah,
sometimes. We do cry
I
sometimes. You
mean,
got to
when we
get the
crying
tears out.
about when we crying about it, listen, we just talking about it because we just voicing our opinion. But the thing is, yeah, we do cry about it. I ain't even gonna hold you. We got some cry babies in this community, and I'm just gonna call that out.
You know,
But the thing,
Ty Trevor got a song, Only One Night though.
only one, oh,
If you
okay,
cry,
well,
you can cry one night.
and,
Only
and,
one
and
night
then
though.
and then you better get up. You better get up and do something about it, right? Don't
That's
be up
it.
there
That's
crying
it.
and got the tissue blowing your nose all night. Listen,
That's right.
we need you to be on point. The thing
Yeah.
is this, you're right. We some resilient folks, and I do want to make sure that we expound on that. We are some resilient people. Like no matter what our circumstances is, no matter what the issue may be at hand, we are resilient folks. We're gonna continue to step up. We're gonna continue to fight, even when it's decades long of us fighting the same battles, right? We still show up. And that's one thing that I can say that I commend about residents of Flint. I can say that we always are about that. Even when you talk about the water crisis, folks has been brutalized. Folks has been getting the short end of the stick. People ain't been paid for. Nobody ain't been held accountable, right? Governor Snyder, they done destroyed all the evidence, right? And it's like it's a thing of us be like, even though we be smacked in the face and kicked in the behind, we still gonna show up. We still gonna talk about it. We still gonna put it out there on the front lines, and we still gonna get activated in the best way that we know how. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate, even like with us. I know you ain't gonna sign no petitions, right? We might need you to get out there and do some campaigning though. But we ain't go. The thing is this: everybody that's out there signing those petitions, that's out there doing it on the front line, right? You got Miss Beverly Biggs, you got Miss Elizabeth Taylor, you got Tia and them and her sister, right? They really out there making a move. They really out there making the change. They really saying like, you know what? We holding this folk accountable. We holding the representative in the second ward, the Dale Lewis accountable. Listen, if you voting for stuff that don't make sense for us, if you out here receiving a benefit to your nonprofit organization on behalf of our offer dollars, if you're receiving a lawnmower, right? You ain't cutting everybody grass. Folk not
Ooh-wee.
paying you, right? You know what? You got to go. And I'm standing on that. Listen, I support us all day long. And if it's a tragedy that happened to us, I'm on deck for us. But if you on garbage, we on your head too, right? That's what real family do. This is family stuff. This is a family conversation. This is a family in this community, and we got to make sure that we being our best. Because at the end of the day, when we gone, the work that we do today is what our tomorrow will be. So if we out the way, I'm hoping that we making a difference. I'm hoping that these young people be like, yeah, them people was out there fighting for it. Them folks was on point, right? They did not play. They will go recall. You got elders out here, and I always got to give a big shout out to our elders. Our elders is out here every day, out here beating the streets. And all you young people, if you ain't out here stepping out with them, if you ain't out here getting signatures, collecting signatures with Miss Taylor and Miss Biggs and the whole team, if you ain't out there trying to make a difference for your future, because they fighting for your future. These people, they already did it already. They didn't made it happen already. Like you talking about Jan Marie, they didn't put it down already, right? And they still willing to go ahead and put the effort and the work in. Us young people don't got nothing to wait for, right? We have to go ahead and be diligent. We have to be dedicated. We have to follow up in the aim and the vein of continuity. We have to be present. We have to, like you were saying, we got to be excited to come out here and be at those elections. We got to be excited about promoting the next new wave of elected leaders. We have to go ahead and be attached and connected and down at city council. I told us we're gonna make our way down to city council. Brother Rodney, representing for BLM, he's definitely down there holding it down at city council. Miss Claire McClendon from Democracy Defense League, BLM, she's holding it down at city council. You know what? We gonna make sure that we step and we gonna always be there to represent. So I appreciate I appreciate these conversations. I appreciate us. If I never said it to you before, Miss Galloway, I appreciate you. Every time I see you, you know, you always got a prayer for me. I remember when we was on the campaign trail last time, right? You know, we stopped in the mid act of what we was doing, and you said a prayer over my life, and I really appreciate that because a lot of folks ain't gonna, you know, really do that and be genuine about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, when folks are being real about it, you know, when folks really care.
You gonna let me have a prayer before we end this show?
Oh, for sure. You know, I was gonna turn it over to you for the prayer. I need a prayer. I'm in need of prayer right now, right? And I do appreciate everything that you contribute to in this community. Your time as Flint City Council, as 7th Ward, even though that we may want you back on there fighting. You know, we got a warrior in Jan Marie that's gonna step up next. But we looking for bigger and better things from you, right? We want to know what's next for you. What do you see in the near future, or you know, in the future beyond, right? What are some things that you want to see for, you know, yourself, right? Your family, this community. What is next for Mrs. Galloway?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm still thinking on it. There's a lot, and I only say that because you know what it's like. It doesn't feel good to not win, right?
Right,
And so
right.
what can happen is when you don't win, it can cause you to not try again.
I feel,
And I
I
won't
feel.
let that be my story. But
Yeah,
the next time I do run,
yeah.
it will be very strategic, and it is my hope that I will have the alliance and the support necessary. But I will tell you that I am ready. I'm going to serve this community regardless, whether
Come
it's
on
in an
now.
elected capacity or not. I am
Come
going to
on.
serve this community. I love this community. This is where I live. Flint now has become a place that I've lived longer than I lived in my home state of California. And so I am a true Michigander with dual citizenship in California. But I really do. I love this
Right, right, right.
community, and there is a love that is growing really in me. And I'm just excited. I pray for city council because I know that that is not easy. There is a darkness
Yeah,
over that
yeah,
area that has nothing that is not just about them. This is generational
yeah.
darkness that has
I
happened.
know. You're right. This just didn't start yesterday. You're right. It
Yeah,
just didn't
but
start with this group of people.
we have to encourage the hearts, and sometimes what you have to understand, and I'm just saying that sometimes people have been so used to being on the defensive that you come across as this because every time I turn around they cutting me. They cutting me.
Yeah,
They don't know what I'm dealing
yeah,
with. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to lead cut. I'm trying to lead cut. I'm
yeah,
cut. I'm broken.
yeah,
And so it's a hard thing. And so I just want to I hope they will be encouraged, and I hope that that encouragement will cause them to show the constituents that because they were the ones that say, we vote the replace the council, we're going to do the right thing. And I
yeah.
think that they have a desire to do it. When you in it, it just, I don't know, something happens. It's like a weird thing. I don't know, but we gonna pray it through. I know that because I sure wish that people were not as attacking to me, and
Mhm.
folks would come up to me and say, Councilwoman, look, you know what? You ain't been acting right, girl. I'm gonna pray for you. Instead
Right,
of just,
right.
jabbing all the time. We know when we made a mistake. Nothing feels worse than knowing that you put your foot in your mouth, or
Yeah,
you didn't give anybody your best version of you, and the
yeah.
last thing you want them to do is remember that version of you. That's the
Mhm.
whole point of the song. I think of the psalmist David when he said, a broken and a contrite heart, oh God, thou does
Yeah.
not despise. Because when you recognize, wow, how could I let that happen, it breaks your heart, and nobody
Mm.
can heal that but you and God.
Come on now. Come on
That's the
now.
truth. And so I'm just excited. I'm ready for this community. We deserve better, and we're gonna get better. And Jan Marie Arbor, girl, but shout out to my
Shout out.
girl. She is. I just, and no, is she perfect? No, she's not perfect.
Right.
But none of us are. But I believe that she will give this community all that she has. And I know that her coming up with this decision, I know it wasn't weighed easily. I know it wasn't weighed lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Because just for somebody, y'all need to know, for somebody to say that that's what they want to do, knowing that those meetings last 100 years, I'm just saying, we need to make sure that we recognize that life is too short. People don't have to give. Usually, when people decide that they want to serve in that capacity, there is a yearning in their heart to really make a difference. And I'll do, if she ends up being the council person that this community decides to go with, I am going to get behind her 100% because she has kept me informed. When I've been trying to hide DeWaun, I
Really?
see the phone. I'm not kidding you. I look down and I see her. And I'm like, oh goodness. Oh goodness. What's going on? But
Nah,
I'm grateful because you can put your head under a rock. And that's not a good place to be.
nah, you said something profound. Like when you take a loss during an election, you're right. It do something to your spirit. I know even, when I lost the state rep race, this last run, it do something to you about like, man, why, how did I not present myself in the best fashion? Or what could I do better, right? To change the outcome. And you think about all those different thoughts, you just kind of be in a little slump for like the first like week. I know I was kind of like, like I was probably like hit for like probably like a week, like what I'm saying, kind of was messed up, but it was like, what? The thing is, man, I just gotta get back out here. I licked my wounds and just really just stood back up, man, and got back out there on the grind and I just appreciate, the opportunity just to continue to serve the community and just doing my part, right? Whatever that is, you know what I'm
And meet
saying?
more people and meet more people.
Mm,
Like even for me, state senate, that was a stretch. That was a reach. People were like, but you know what? You gotta sometimes
mm,
stretch yourself. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I've heard people say it's not about the win or even the loss, it's about what you gained in it, right?
that's right.
One of the things that we can't be afraid of is our Goliaths,
Yeah.
right? I
Hmm.
mean, because name recognition, those are Goliaths too. Not that I'm not saying in a bad way, I'm not negating that they're bad, but the name represents a giant that you can't,
Hmm.
how dare you even consider? Don't you know your place? Don't you know? And don't get me wrong, you shouldn't just, you should. You need to do what's in your heart. If it's really in your
Hmm.
heart, and hopefully along the way you learned something, you met some people, because I mean, if your experience was anything like mine, I met some great people.
That's right. I
I
did.
met some
I
people
sure did.
that still keep in contact with me, that
Yeah.
you're still talking to, and so some of those things are really beneficial, and they help you. And I'm telling you, yesterday, Judge Marsh's, I just can't get over it. It was like the hopelessness that sets in. Sometimes secretly, DeWaun, you don't even know that it's in there. It's just in your heart that says, yeah, I'm not gonna go for nothing like that ever again. I'ma just, and there was this thing that says, no, 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 no. We continue to move. We continue to move. We continue to get better. And
Yes,
hopefully
right.
we'll get better enough, and that better in me with that better in you will make the
Yeah.
community better. And so I'm just excited. I really am. And I'm so glad that you let me take time on your show.
Oh, sure.
I love technology, that we can
Mhm.
even have these conversations, because for
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, it's bad out there, right?
Yeah,
And
I
so
know.
we didn't
I got
have to slip and slide in the street to try and get to one location. And so that's one of the really good things that came out of that devastating COVID time, if you will.
I know, right? The opportunity to really still have conversations via technology. You know what? You're absolutely right. I'm glad that and this is something for us. Even though that it was a blizzard storm out there, we were still able to have a constructive conversation. We were still able
Mhm.
to build, and we still had a family of conversations. A lot of folks tuned in and tapped in and said their piece. This is what a community does, right? Nothing stops us, and I hope we take that same energy, in the city of Flint. That nothing stops us, right? No matter how many barriers are put in our way, no matter how many challenges are presented, we are going to continue to move forward. We're going to continue to, do what's necessary, and we're going to continue to lead by example and show that we can create a robust community out of nothing, right? Out of the bare minimum, and that's what we've
Right.
been working for. And so, man, I just be thankful for that. Um,
Yeah.
I gotta ask you now. I gotta ask you now. Now, do you think Quincy got that lawnmower?
You know what? I just heard about a lawnmower. I don't know about a lawnmower. Y'all too much. I don't know. And I'm not saying, and let the record show I didn't say nothing about any of the council people.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
you kept it neutral. You kept it
No, I'm
neutral.
not, because that's a tough role. And so I'm not gonna pretend. I made a lot of mistakes on council. And so I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody else since I'm not down there. I did go and try to appeal to them based on that special election, because in
Yeah,
all actuality, that election should have happened way before the new year. And the reason why
right.
you have to look at that, when Mayor Neely won his first election, he was sworn in the second Monday in November. The
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
special election was January 7th,
man.
2 months later, right?
Man.
And
Yeah, you're right.
so there's just some I'm just look, I'm
But
gonna have
now
to
you
get
know
off
what
because I got to call Jan
she,
Marie.
she tried to undermine it. They tried to undermine democracy. They didn't want to even vote on the resolution. They wanted to keep their little fire,
But
right?
it
They can't.
sounds like they had not. I mean, they did a great job. It voted unanimously.
Yeah, but after pressure, yeah,
Yeah.
that's when you gotta have the clerk down there sitting in the audience. You gotta have people coming in there talking about when is this election gonna take place. They knew it. They would let them do it. They've been and pushed it all the way back to August, right? And but this is what I be saying: a mobilized community can change some things, and I
Yeah.
think that's a step in the right direction. I'm glad that city council did make that step, right?
Yeah. I'm
We
too.
just need
Yeah, I
strong
am too.
representation. We
Yeah.
don't need no puppets. I know Sheldon he got his hands on all these folks down there. That's on city council, the fire that he working with, and that's just an unfortunate thing. Like people got to
I
wake
didn't
up.
say that. I
And
didn't
I
say
said
that.
it. I said it. I said it, and them folks know that. Sheldon know what time it is. You know what I mean? They need to cut that stuff out. They need to stop it, right? They need to really go ahead and make sure that no, we had to do the due diligence and understanding that they work for us.
Well, you need an
We pay
effective
their salary.
legislation and executive branch of government working together. There's no question.
That's how it should be, right?
Hmm.
But then ultimately, I'll be wanting the people to understand that we pay their salaries, right? So ultimately, they work for us, and if they're not doing what's necessary, then we got to step up. So I'm just glad that everybody is, just we talking about we having these conversations, we hosting these dialogues, and then ultimately we doing something about it. We just ain't
Right.
sit sideline watching stuff play out. Well, you know it. That 40 million gonna be spent, and I just really hope that we play a part in making that happen.
Good morning, Miss Beverly. I mean, evening. Evening. Goodness gracious. I must
Yeah,
need
good
to go to
evening.
sleep. Um, So I'm gonna have a word of prayer and then we're gonna end if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just so thankful that you took the time, and one of the things that I always say to you, um regardless of what people say about you, before I was on the city council, I met you, and you've
Yeah,
always been consistently involved in the community.
come on
You've
now. Come
always
on.
held events. You've
Yeah,
always kept me engaged. You
that's right.
always made sure that I was invited.
Mhm.
And I appreciate, because that level of consistency, you're talking about over 10 years. That
Come
level of
on now.
consistency,
Come
it
on.
takes something. And so I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you. I want to thank everyone that's on the broadcast. And I really do just want to have a quick word of prayer. And so, Father, I just want to thank you for the city of Flint. I want to thank you for the people that serve, the people that are not even known, the people that daily give themselves in servitude to this community. They serve willingly and wholeheartedly. I pray for every person that will come across this broadcast. I pray that there was something that was said, something that awakened something in them. I pray for our mayor and our city council people. I pray for our county commissioners. I pray for our state representatives, our senators, and our governor, God. We pray for our legislative branch, our executive branch, our judicial branch of government. God, we pray for our law enforcement officers all over this county. I pray for every person that is on here that they would use their influence, God, to change this community. I pray that you would forgive us, forgive me for the seeds of hostility or the seeds of divisiveness that I myself have sown into this community. God, we deserve better, and I'm asking that you would help us do better. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you that this is our time to be better. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
Amen. I say. No, I greatly appreciate the conversation, the words of wisdom, and the prayer. Right, this was a phenomenal conversation, and we continue to educate. We want to be a platform for constructive conversation. I think that's what it is, and that's continuing on those efforts of, continuity, right? Being involved, being engaged, right? Making it welcome, because that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. That's what it's
You
about.
got it.
So
You got it.
I do appreciate everybody who joined the broadcast. Be sure to like the program, like, share, subscribe. Fli-City Blackout. We appreciate all the love and support and everybody just tapping in and tuning in and just rocking with us. That means everything. So if you haven't liked this channel, if you haven't liked the show, please do so right now. And then we will be coming back to you. We'll definitely have more conversations with Mrs. Galloway, and then of course whatever she has in the future, whatever you got going on in the future, and we want to be able to put out there in the airwaves. You are always welcome, right? Anytime. Big shout out to my brother, man. Tell Mr. Kevin Galloway I said what's up, man.
I
Peace and
will.
love.
I will. I will.
Senior and junior, right? My boy
Yeah,
Kevin too, man. And then just let the family know I said hello,
I
and we will
will.
definitely be tapping back in and keeping it active, and definitely we have to connect with Jan Marie too on the back end. So
Yeah, that'd be really good. And so you have a great night. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, DeWaun, for sharing your platform with me. It really means a lot.
no, thank you. You did a phenomenal job, and we'll be bringing you back. So
All right.
this won't be the last. So you're tuning in to Fli-City Blackout. Myself, DeWaun E. Robinson, Mrs. Monica Galloway, and we are tuning out. So how we tap out, we do this.
Is
This
that
is
what
for
we do?
Wakanda.
Wait a minute. Wait a
This
minute.
is Wakanda forever. Kevin know about this. Tell Kevin. Yeah, I know Kev back there. What's up, Kev? I see you back there, baby. We Wakanda out. We appreciate everybody. We tapping out. Everybody have a safe, beautiful
Good night.
evening. Stay home, right? Make sure you eat them snacks. Make sure you watch the movie. Spend some time with the family. And we'll
Yeah.
be tapping back in with you soon.
Have a night. Bye-bye.
We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce.
My city experiencing a transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars.